Sculpting. Hola. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let's see if we can mess this up. I'm trying to get it where you guys can see our menus, all the menus. Yeah, we're working on our lighting setup. It's not quite there yet. Maybe someday it'll be perfect. Alrighty. Excuse me. Bear with me here, folks. We're just setting things up. Sorry, I don't have any music today. I'm actually live streaming on Twitch and YouTube, and I've got music running from my computer straight into OBS, so I can't run music live out here during this live stream. Thinking in the future, I'm just going to do a live stream in at separate times in different places. All right, can you all hear me though? We sound okay here? Let me know if we. Let me know if you can hear. Looks like I'm logged out of there. All right, no big deal. Worry about it later. Right now, I just got to get working on this stuff because there's only so many hours in the day, you know? Let's set this to 0 because I want to use my own lights when I'm checking lighting. So we're going to put one here. And we're going to pin this open so we don't have to go back and forth and make it a point light. It's kind of harsh. Move it out a little bit. Turn the intensity down. I'm going to go ahead and clone that. I'm going to move it over here for a fill light. And I'm going to clone it one more time for a rim light. Put that back here. Let's see, that's our key light. There we go. I like that a little better. All right, let's just switch back into matcap mode for the view. Let's see, what can I do? Hold on just a minute. All right. Hey, wicked. How you doing? Hey, yeah, thank you. Currently, yeah, so I'm going to do 2 versions of this. Is the goal here? I'm going to do a version that has. Sorry, I don't have music going. I'm actually doing a live stream on YouTube and Twitch, so I have music piping directly into that stream, and for that reason, obviously, I can't have music being monitored and music playing, and I'm going to try and figure something out to, you know, make it so everybody can hear, but right now we're just kind of stuck with the setup that I've got until I get things a little more better figured out, if that makes any sense. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to do 2 versions of this. I decided against putting the critter and the veggies and fruits and veggies all in one because it was getting a little crowded, and I didn't like the composition. So I'm going to do a version with fruits and veggies, and then I'm going to do another version with a critter sitting at the mouth of the cornucopia, probably holding on to like a pumpkin. I figured that would be, you know, that would kind of accomplish the the critter collection as well. There's our color setup. So right now we're running with 1. Yellow makes 1, green is 2, orange is 3, red is 4, purple is 5, and then brown makes 6. So this is a 6-color print, which is great if you have the capability to print 6 colors. If you don't, then what people are going to probably have to do is make a decision on some of these. Maybe they can make the stems green, and I'm not sure what they'll do about the apples. Maybe make the apples green and make the stems gold. You could do that. That would bring it back into a 4-color. But anyway, on we go. So let's get back into our cornucopia here. As you can see, we've split it. We've applied our texture. By the way, I'm getting pretty good at these textures, Wicked. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but after you and I worked out the details on this, it's actually a nifty little tool. I mean, I knew it was, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way that it's going. So let's get into linking. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to save this scene, and then we're not going to do save as. We're going to add to the scene, and we're going to come down here and grab our links preset. I've already set these links up. I'm going to turn X-ray on so you can see it. I've already set these links up with the right amount of tolerance, so we get good good linking and good play in between the links. You're still having issues. Well, I'll tell you what, let me get through this cornucopia and then let's address those issues and see if we can figure it out, and I'll show you what I'm doing. Maybe that'll help you. All right, so here's the center of our link setup, which you can see right here by the crosshairs of our gizmo, and we're going to set that pretty much in the center here of the articulation link split, and then we're going to move it forward here, so we're pretty much right in the middle with our link combo, and we're in the middle of the object. So both on the top view and the side view, we're in the middle, and that's where you want that to be. So we're going to do that, and then once that's set up, we're going to clone our link, and we're going to move it back here because we need one. Excuse me. Obviously, we need one in the tail of our cornucopia, and we're going to just tilt that on its side there so it stays oriented, you know, perpendicular to our articulating segment. And excuse me, got a frog in my throat today. Don't tell my beagles, they love to eat frogs, and they're bad for them. So anyway, get our link set up, and again we're going to go check it from the top. Now we can look at this from the top, but this link if I turn X-ray off, you can see that it's been cut at an angle like this, okay? So I'm going to get this turned at this angle like this, and then I'll go back into X-ray and make sure it all lines up in this orientation here. And I'm going to go ahead and reset my pivot so it's perpendicular to the again. So the pivot of the gizmo is set up to be perpendicular to my articulated slice. Okay. All right. Once we get that where we want it, then we will go ahead and start just like we do with all the other articulated things that you've watched me make. We're going to join these links to the pieces, make sure that there's enough clearance in between the pieces to allow the links to move freely, and then attach the links to the sections where they belong. All right, I think I want to move this up just a little bit here. And we're going to rotate it just a little more. All right, I'm going to open up my objects panel and just leave it open. I'm going to pin it open so we can see that bad boy. All right, so we've got two sets of links. We got this one here. That's our first set. And then we've got this set here, which is our back set for our back link. Okay? So I think we'll work with the front set first. So I'm going to grab these. And this here is my, these are my horn sections. So I've got horn split and horn split 1. And it looks like horns, that should be horn split 2. All right, so we've got the first one, the second one, and the third one. The first one is where we're going to put this first set of links. We're going to select everything, hit solo, and then we'll turn, no, well, we're already in X-ray. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to select this part so we can see our links. But we can also see the X-ray of the other. So this, the other link. So this link here is the one that needs to clear. This one here is going to be attached to the piece, but this one here is the one that needs to rotate freely. So we need to create a recess here for that. So I'm going to grab my mask tool. Actually, before I do the mask, we're going to make sure the resolution is set up to at least 350/400. So we've got a nice piece with a lot of polygons. So when we paint our mask on there, it's going to be nice and smooth. And I like to work in reverse, so I'm going to grab my mask tool and just tap the object, which masks the entire thing. And then I am going to unmask. I'm going to unmask the area that I want to affect with my brushes. Okay, so we just reveal this area. All right, so basically what I did by tapping the screen is inverted the mask inadvertently, which is not what we want to do. We're going to grab our brush tool, increase the size, decrease the intensity, and we're going to set it to sub so it pushes the geometry in, and then we're just going to gently push that geometry in. Now you'll see it. You'll see in here, this line here is where the geometry from the ring intersects the piece that we're trying to get it. We're trying to get away from it. So as we push this geometry in, watch what happens. You'll see this line start to move. See that? And so we just gently push that until that line goes away, and then we'll push it a little bit more evenly. Grab our smooth tool and just smooth it out. Now I'll turn off solo and we'll select something else that's away from our link so we can see in X-ray mode, and you'll see right there we've got a good gap between our ring and between the piece that we just modified. And then we'll go ahead and look at it from the side. Same thing. I'm sorry, I keep selecting items that I don't want to select. So that's good clearance right there. All right, so that'll be good enough. So what we can do now is we'll go ahead and do the same thing for this link here into this piece. Now we're going to take both of these links and we're going to move them to our second horn piece. We'll solo that and then just select the horn itself and basically do the same thing we just did. Again, I'm going to clear. We're going to push that resolution over 300, 350. So we've got a nice piece that's got a lot of polygons to work with. All right, let's decrease the size of our brush. Now it's the vertical link that we need to create clearance for. So we're going to do that. And we're just going to take our brush and expose just the area around that link. And then again, we'll take our brush tool, set it to sub, and push that geometry in. And again, by rotating it around, you can kind of see where that link intersects this piece. You can see the line right there. And then some of it's actually hidden here. So again, we're just going to gently push it in with our brush until it clears. All right. Now you can come back and do this a couple of times if you don't push it far enough. I'm going to smooth it out. And I probably will at some point, but let's take a look. All right, we've got good clearance there. Great clearance there. So these two links are set up. Those are good to go. Let's move on to these links back here. So I'm going to grab those links, and I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to put them into this center horn piece that we were just working on, because we not only need to clear it up here, but we also need to clear it back here. And so that's what we're going to do. We'll grab that mask tool, and we've already upped the resolution on this piece, so I'm not worried about that. And I'm going to get it straight on as possible. Again, the link that you're going to need to clear is the one whose ends you can see. If you can't see the ends, then that's the link that's going to attach to the piece that you're working on to clear this link. If that makes sense. It should make sense. If it doesn't, let me know in chat. And by the way, if you're getting anything out of this, pound that heart, like button, whatever. Follow us, subscribe. We've got links in our bio if you're interested in joining our Discord. We also have YouTube and Twitch. We live stream there. Only difference over there is you actually have music in the background if you like music. If you don't, then stay here. Eventually there'll be music here again too. Whether I just do separate live streams or I figure out a way to incorporate it on all platforms. All right, grab your brush. Once again, now there isn't a lot of pushing that needs to go on here because you can see the area where it's intersecting the link is kind of small. But I still like to create a healthy gap in between the pieces. So we're going to push it back and then smooth it out. Same process. We'll turn off solo and let's grab something over here so we can view our link clearance. All right, that looks good, very healthy. And then we'll come in here from the side. Same thing, very healthy clearance. All right, now we need to do the same thing for the links going to the end. To do that, I'm going to actually move it into the end horn segment. And because we have X-ray turned on, I just select this piece. And now we're going to, once again, up our resolution, 350 or higher. Now, in doing that, you see it kind of made the details a little more pronounced here. That's all right. We can get rid of that by going up here to our corporate smooth operation. And then just hitting smooth, pulling it over until that disappears like that. And we'll probably do that to the other pieces as well. Grabbing you up, great work. Thank you, appreciate it. This is an iPad Pro operating. It's the latest M4 chip. I was using a 20, I think it was a circa 22 iPad Pro, so this will work on there too. It was just time to upgrade my hardware. So I will say that I sculpt anywhere from 4 to 5 hours at a time. So after a while, it would get a little toasty, and so I stopped using that iPad because I want to be able to sell it before it before it flies the coop, so to speak. I didn't want to ruin the battery, but it worked just fine. It just got hot after a while, and like I said, when that starts happening, I'm like, all right, I might be pushing it a little too hard. But again, this is the iPad Pro, obviously the Apple Pencil. They do make an Android version of this application. It's $20 on the App Store, I think either place that you get it. And they are working on releasing here very soon, is my hope, a desktop version for Mac and PC both. And I hear it's going to be about $40. You really can't beat it. If this is something that you've always wanted to try and get into, it's definitely a great little application to have. Again, Nomad Sculpt. Bro making the plumbus. The plumbus. Thaddeus, I wish I knew what the heck you were talking about. All right, so we're gonna excavate for the vertical link. So I'm gonna go ahead and orient this in this position here, and we can lock it. You know, we can lock this view in any position. Some people think that it's just a right or a top and then lock, but it isn't. You get it to where you want it. You know, your view, if you wanted to work on it here and you lock that, you can't move it. You can't do anything to move this view. So that's a real nice feature about this application. So I'm going to get it right about here, and we're going to lock it so it doesn't move on us. And then again, we're just going to unmask the area that we're going to manipulate with our sculpting tools. Now unlock it. Grab that brush, and again you can see where this piece intersects. So we're just going to, oops, not that piece. We're going to just gently push that geometry in, and you'll see that link start to reveal itself. See that? Almost there. Okay. Push that center in a little more. We'll smooth it out with our smooth tool, and we'll turn off solo. Go and inspect our clearances. That looks good. And that looks good from the top as well. So we're good. All of our, oh, that's interesting. How did he get out there? Actually, did I hide a, no, we're good. Okay. So now that we've got our articulating rings in place and we've modified the geometry, now we need to join the rings and smooth out the geometry where these things are going to attach to the pieces. So we'll do the same thing we did before. Only difference is I'm just going to take one of these links. I'm going to unlink that there, make it its own entity. I'm going to grab this link here, which is going to attach to the top piece. This link will attach to the middle piece. We'll leave it there. And then this link here also attaches to the middle piece. And that link there attaches to the bottom piece. There we go. All right. Let's see. Would you recommend an iPad Pro for someone looking to do CAD or sculpting on a tablet? From Rick and Morty. I'm going to look that up, Thaddeus, because I don't know what it is, and I hate to not know. iPad Pro for CAD. I do know that they have some applications out there. I believe Shaper is one of them. I don't know if Tinkercad has an app for iPad or tablets in general. I know Autodesk has got a viewer for Fusion, but they don't have. I don't think they have a CAD sculpting application. So I would say if you're going to be going into CAD, you might want to step to a decently powered desktop. But for sculpting, I know obviously Nomad Sculpt works great here on the iPad, and then ZBrush Core, they also have an iPad version for that as well. And but as far as going beyond that, I can't speak for CAD on a tablet, to be honest. So yeah, I wish I could, but I can't. All right, so I'm going to go back to I've turned X-ray off because I want to see all of my pieces here. So we've got our link bottom and our link top. I'm going to solo that. I'm sorry, our link and our piece here. I'm going to get rid of the mask. I'm going to clear that out of there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and weld these two together. I'm going to do that by doing a voxel remesh. Let's set it about 400. And just like that, these two pieces have become one. I'm going to bring my smoothing tool out here. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I've got symmetry turned on. This isn't a fully symmetrical piece, but it does okay. In terms of, you know, whatever you do here, you can see the dot over here on the other side. It does the same thing over there. If your piece is not symmetrical, that symmetry can get you in trouble pretty quick. So make sure that your piece is symmetrical before you start working in a symmetrical setting. Real quick, like to get rid of some of the edges, the roughness on this basket texture. I'm going to come over here and hit my smooth tool. The smooth operation, I should say. Just a little bit until it lessens. Looks a little smoother like that. All right, so that piece is almost done. What I like to do is I like to take my clay tool and just build up the geometry a little bit here where the link attaches to the piece. And the reason I do that is just for a little added strength. Could you do this with Fusion? Yes, you could, but this is way more intuitive than Fusion for this type of art. So while it is possible, and I've seen some people make some amazing things in Fusion, I'm literally working. You know, Fusion is obviously a CAD program, and that's something that is typically CAD is used to create functional or very precise items that have very precise measurements and gaps and tolerances and things like that. That's the reason it's an engineering application. So that's not to say that you couldn't use Fusion to create this stuff, but this is more aimed at organic creation of items. Have I tried sculpting in VR yet? No, I haven't, Michael. Michael's joining us, it looks like, on YouTube. Hopefully you're still there. I'm sorry. I got 3 places I'm looking. I got chat over here, and I got chat over here, and I got my work here. Sorry if I missed you. But no, I have not tried sculpting in VR yet. I've seen a couple of people do it. And for the stuff that I'm doing here, at least at this point right now in the applications I'm using, I don't know that VR would really work for me. But I do look forward to it as it matures to give it a whirl. All right, you can see again here how this piece is just a little too rough for my taste. So we're going to smooth that out once we join this all together. But there's our two articulating links, whatever you want to call them. Again, first thing we need to do is weld this together. And if you look, I'll tap it and you can see it change color. So that shows that we have multiple pieces here. But again, when we go into the remesh, into voxel remesh, and again, I want to select all these items. Oh, shoot. My bad. Hold on. And we're going to solo. There we go. All right, everything is selected, as you can see in my object palette here. Now we're going to go into remesh and set it again 350 or higher, and I'll hit remesh, and now it welds it all together. So now it's a single object that I am using my masking tool on. I really don't want to. Let's clear that mask. All right, so let's go ahead again. We're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. I want to smooth the link and the geometry out here that I really don't like the roughness of it. So again, we're going to use this smooth operation. Crank this up just a little bit, and there you go. That looks nice. I do like to further smooth these edges here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Nobody will ever see the inside of these things, but I know it's there, and I just like it to, I like it to look good on the inside and the outside. I doubt that anybody ever breaks one of these and they'll be like, oh my gosh, have you seen the craftsmanship on the inside of this thing? It's a personal thing. All right, again, using my clay tool, I am going to build up our edges here. Again, just for strength, for a little additional strength at the base of our link. Nomad Sculpt, definitely human. What would I suggest? Okay, I'm sorry, let me go back here. I'm new here, new to printing. Sean, what I would suggest to help you with learning the creative process is just get out there and do it. Try it. I'm here at least once a week. Now, unfortunately for you guys, I'm going on vacation. I'm actually driving to Colorado here at the end of the week, and I'll be gone all next week. But other than that, I'm usually last week has been kind of busy for me, so it was kind of rough for me to get out here. But I'm usually here at least 2 or 3 times a week. I'm going to turn this light on here. It's kind of dim. So you can come here and learn watching me. I'll do my best to answer your questions. I do have a Discord server. Again, the links are on my profile. So you can learn from me. There's other people out there on TikTok. I'm actually in the process now. I'm live streaming to YouTube and Twitch, and we will be saving these as viewable videos later. So you can go out and kind of walk through this with me and learn the tools. But there's just, again, there's no substitute for just getting out there and diving in and make some mistakes. The cool thing is it's digital, so mistakes are free. Definitely human. What are you modeling on? Nomad Sculpt on an iPad Pro. This is the current generation of iPads, and it's the Apple Pencil Pro, I think it's called. Apple Pencil Pro. It's the only one that works on the new iPad. I did have an older iPad with a pencil, and then Apple upgraded everything and said, oh, you need a new pencil too. I'm like, great. All right, we're going to bump this resolution up to 320. Yeah, they do, just so you know, this application is available on Android devices as well. And while I use Apple, we live in a world where there's options. So if you're an Android guy, then I recommend you grab the Android version. It's only 20 bucks. You really can't beat it. And as I said earlier, they are doing a, I'm gonna turn the symmetry off because this is not symmetrical. They are creating a desktop version for Mac and PC. And I've got a Wacom tablet laying right here on my desk that I'll be using once that one goes live. If no other reason, just to test it out. And if I like it better, I might be sculpting on my desktop. Or both. The other thing that I really, really love about Nomad Sculpt is the fact that it is so portable. I can crack this. I go to get the oil changed in my car. I got my iPad with me. I'm sitting there for 20 minutes, whatever. I can crack this thing out and pick right up where I left off. No internet connection needed. So, all right, so there is our articulated cornucopia. For those of you who don't know what a cornucopia is, it's the word means horn of plenty. I did throw some lighting on this. So this is in lighting mode, and then this is with paint. So these are the colors that it'll be, and as you can see here, we need to be sure that the new geometry put in is the same color. So I'm going to go ahead and sample that color. Let's lock our paint palette open so we can just paint pieces. All right, there's another one. Same thing, same color. And there we go. Let's swing those lights around. Looks good. All right. All right. Excuse me. Okay, all right. Let's see where we're at now. So I think actually we might be done with this version. Let me check the bottom here, make sure. Actually, you know what? I think we need to merge these items together. Yeah. They're all linked, but they're not merged together. And here's the problem that creates. When we go into paint mode, oh, shoot. I'm going to have to put another light in here just so we can see the bottom. Let me do that real quick. I'm going to pop open our light panel, add one more light, and I'll just call this. Thought I could name them here. Oh, there we go. This will just be a bottom legit. No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted hello. There we go. Bottom light. And that's just so we can see the bottom of our geometry here. All right, so you can see here we have a lot going on. The pumpkin and the cornucopia is the geometry they're joined, but they're still separate. So that's going to create some potential problems when it comes to slicing this for your printer. I just turned on wireframe so you can see it. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take these pieces. I'm going to pin that open. We're going to select our corn and this pumpkin here, but I just need the pumpkin, the orange part, and then I'm going to mesh them together, about 450 or so. And what you're going to see is that cleans up our geometry. Now we have an issue with our paint, and that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and grab our paint, and we'll sample it. And this is all one piece now. So if I select that, you'll see this is all one piece. I'm going to turn symmetry off. I'm going to add layers in case we mess the paint up. If I don't like it, I can come back and undo it. And then we're just going to paint that area in there like that. So now when it prints, this is the way it'll look when it prints. You'll see the edge of the pumpkin there spilling out of the cornucopia. Is that 100% accurate with the way it would look in real life? I don't know, but it'll definitely look a lot cleaner than it did before. And again, artist discretion. You can do this any way you want, but that's the way I'm doing it. One other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to switch out of paint mode here real quick, and I want to smooth this area out just a little bit so we don't have gaps on our print bed when we try to get this thing to sit down nice and firm on the print bed. Actually, I just realized something. Before I do this, I'm going to go back and undo that. And the reason is because I want to save this as a version without the fruits and veggies so we can put a critter in it. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. We've got our final, and I'm going to turn the lights on and put the paint on it. And I'm going to set that to 0 right now because we don't need that light. All right, so this is Cornucopia 2. And then I'm going to do a save as, and we'll call this Cornucopia 3. And the reason is because number 3 is going to be the one with the critter in it. This is Articulated Party Ferret Creations. Cool name. If you stick around, once we get done with this part here, I'll show you how we make the bottom flat. Super poop. I do wish I could draw. You know what? Drawing helps, I'm not going to lie. I do have an artistic talent, God-given artistic talent, but I've also been 3D modeling for about 30 plus years, so some would say, oh, you've got an unfair advantage. Here's the bottom line. It's not going to take you 30 years to learn to draw. It's not even going to, here, let me be honest with you. Well, I mean, let me be completely transparent. I'll always be honest, but let me be transparent. I have been 3D printing for about 12 years. Had one of the top selling shops on Etsy for 3 years running. Got sick. It was stage 4 cancer. I've gone into remission. Doctor said I need to reduce my stress, and I'm like, all right, now what am I going to do? And I've always been artistic and creative, but I thought, let me start creating my own line of models. And so I had Nomad Sculpt, picked it up a year ago. I picked it up a year ago, didn't do anything with it until about 5 months ago. I picked it up and I'm like, let's see what we can do with this. And since then, I have been able to create. So this is 3. Let me go ahead and save this. I've created my own line of models, articulated models. Where are they at? Here's the master list. So this is where we are currently. So again, in less than 5 months' time, and I don't know how many are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anyway, it's if it's not 40, it's very close to 40. Not just these, but another collection I'm going to show you here in a second. And this was the first one I did. My wife is a nut for penguins, and so I made her a penguin. At first, his fins were, his flippers were glued down. Then I said, hey, let's make those articulate, and so I did. And again, I do have some experience when it comes to 3D printing. I'm actually one of the original Kickstarters for the Bamboo Labs printers. So I have a background in a lot of things, but I didn't have a lot of experience doing 3D sculpting. A lot of the modeling that I've done in the past was CAD stuff. So, basically what I'm trying to say is don't be afraid to just get out there and try and get started. You'll be amazed in 6 months where you're at, and then 6 months after that where you're at, and so forth. This is our Halloween collection. It's limited edition, limited time. Once Halloween's over, these go away. But again, everything's linked in our bio where you can get them. But again, this is an example. This cauldron. I'm going to select the Beagle over here so you can see. This is an example of a non-CAD object, or an object created without CAD. But the clearances have been designed in such a way, and you can see the clearance between the lid and the cauldron right there. It's enough where when this prints, you can use it, in a functional sense. This actually is a lid, and you can put candy and stuff in. I printed one about this big. It's sitting upstairs on on one of my wife's tables. But anyway, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to encourage you to just, again, the application's $19, $20, $19.99. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. Even if you just, use it once in a while. And it's, again, keep showing up here. I don't gatekeep any of my content. If you want to learn how to do something, I'm here for you as much as I can be. And if I'm not, like I said, there's a lot of other people on here. Wicked Constructs, right here in my channel. He does a lot of work in Nomad, Alien Destination, Chaos. Oh gosh, I can never remember her whole handle. Help me out, Wicked. Shoot him some links there if you can to other people as well. Oh, shoot. And I just whacked my camera, sorry. All right. So yeah, but the main thing is just to get started. Give it a try. And then keep showing up. Honestly, that's how I've learned most of what I do. I just keep showing up. Chaos costumes, thank you. I knew there was a second part to that. I know you as Wicked, I know her as Chaos, I know Alien as, well, Alien. All right, so let's continue. We've gone ahead, actually, you know what, as long as we're in the business here, let's go ahead. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to name this to Cornucopia with Critter. And I think our critter will be a Beagle. I think we're going to do like a little puppy. I did a rabbit before. Let me show you the rabbit version. Wasn't too crazy about the rabbit. And the more I thought about it, rabbits don't really reflect the harvest season. If anything, they're a spring icon. So this guy is going into the archives, not to ever be seen again. All right, so let's again fix our meshing here. I'm going to turn our light back on. So we can see this bottom geometry that we're going to be combining. There you go. All right, back to our pumpkin. I'm going to pin this panel open. It's already open. Great. Pumpkin. We need the pumpkin shell and not the stem. Now we're going to go, now because the items are painted, when we mesh them together, they bring their color with them as well. All right, back to our pumpkin. Okay, once again, I will grab my paintbrush and we will sample that color. I'm going to add a layer up here just for color. Turn off symmetry. Well, let's turn on our rope stabilizer. Make it a little easier to make those curves. Turn off our alpha channel. You bet. Absolutely. And I get a lot of my reference material and sometimes inspirations. For example, the witch's cauldron with the legs sticking out of it. That was actually an accident. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do to make a handle on top of that potion. I'm like, well, maybe I can make, maybe I can make some of the bubbles bigger, or I can make, indentations for the fingers. And wasn't really too keen on any of the solutions, but I went online to look at cauldrons for reference. I was actually looking for reference to make the legs, and somebody had made a paper mache witch of a cauldron with the witch's legs sticking out. I'm just like, that is hilarious. And I'm like, let's do that in 3D. And there you go. All right. So I'm going to go back into matte cap again here, just so we can see our surface a little more cleanly. Smooth that inconsistency out. And there's a little divot there I want to get rid of. Won't affect anything much, but again, I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to that stuff. All right, we've got our apple here. I'm going to go ahead and let's merge our apple with the pumpkin next. So I'm going to grab that, hold down my shift key and tap that. And does it merge with anything else? Looks like it does. Let's merge it with this and this. And this. And for that matter, let's merge that. Let's see. I'm just grabbing my shift key and tapping things. I think we'll just merge everything. And that should be everything. Actually, I'm going to leave the stem separate. We don't have to merge things that we don't have to merge. We won't. It'll create a nice sharp line where it joins to other objects, and that's the reason that I typically like to hold off merging certain elements together. All right. So I'm going to set that to about 450. We'll hit remesh. And then we're going to do a quick cleanup on the bottom. Let's check our bottom. Grab that smooth tool. Just clean up the areas here that need it. Just the surface that touches the print bed. That's all I'm concerned about. All right, now we got a little divot here. That's okay. Let's just grab our clay brush and we'll fill that hole in and then smooth it out. And just keep doing that. Sometimes we need to use our brush tool. And we're going to pull instead of push. All right, I'm going to turn on our wireframe. All right, so we've got an anomaly here that we need to fix. All right. I'm going to try smoothing it one more time. And let's see if we can flatten this geometry, if that'll help at all. Nope, it seems to be pretty mixed up. All right, I'm going to grab the quad remesher, and we're just going to remesh it at the same resolution, and that should straighten that out for us. stream. Welcome. It's kind of a big model, so it might take a second. Or we might just crash Nomad entirely. Hopefully the latter is not what will take place. Dino Topo. All right. Well, let me let this finish its operation and see what we come up with. See if I like the results, and if not, then we'll try that next. I just realized I didn't bring a drink down to my studio. In the meantime, everybody say hello to the penguin. Hey. All right, we're at 76%. This is on a tablet. Nomad will work on an iPhone, but I will let you know that you don't have a whole lot of screen real estate on your phone. So, all right, that's taken forever. I'm going to cancel that. And it's not canceling. Well, that's bad news. That means we probably locked things up a little bit. All right. Well, here's what we can do. We can just restart it. We might lose a few steps. And if we do, we do. Not gonna cry about it. Just come back to where we were. And it looks like we're gonna come back quite a ways. Turn that light back up. Yep. Now, this is where one of these two pieces here is where we ran into our mesh issue. Okay, good to know. Thank you, thank you. Yes, we will definitely give that a shot. But what I'm going to try and do first is I'm going to try and avoid that situation. I can see the geometry peeking through here. So I think what we'll do is we're going to select this piece and just... Nope, actually, I take that back. We trimmed that so there is not... Actually, we should be able to reach that. It's the internal part, right? Oh, but the corn husk is a child of it, so now we should be able to move it independently. And we left a hole there where the husk was. All right, no worries. We'll try Dream's approach when we get to that point. All right, let's go ahead and grab all of our pieces like we did before. So I'm going to grab this piece. I'm going to hold down my shift key. We're going to grab that, this. Oops, shoot. Not exactly sure what happened there. Oh, I had my shift key selected. Try again. Shift key, select that, this piece, these two, this guy, and that guy. We're going to merge them all together. All right, I'm going to use our voxel remesh and hit the button. All right. Now, let's go down here and go back to the matte cap. What we were trying to do before was smooth this out, and that's when we ran into our little dimple here. So I'm going to smooth out. Oh, we got one there too. Good to know. All right. Smooth these out. I'll turn symmetry off. Alrighty, that looks good. Now, you're suggesting, excuse me, turn on dynamic topology, and then come in here and use our smooth tool, I assume. How about that? Clean it right up. Brilliant. See, and this is what it's all about, folks. You can keep all the information to yourself, or you can share it. So what we did, for those of you who are wondering how we accomplished that, we came into our multi-res, voxel, and dyno typo screens. And we enabled dynamic topology. I'll turn the wireframe on so you can see it happen in real time. All right, so we've got a wireframe anomaly here where some of the geometry is a little pinched, and actually if you look in there you can see that there's actually a hole. But using dynamic topology, or with it enabled, as we paint over this area, it's going to flatten the wireframe out and repair the holes. Isn't that nice? And there you go. Turn the wireframe off. I'm going to turn topology off. And then we'll just smooth it like we normally do. Now if you want to clean that wireframe up, which I do, we'll just remesh it again. But I'm going to go over here and do the same here. Level it out. And just so you know, if you didn't know, when you use the smooth tool, in effect what you're doing is you're smoothing or flattening the wireframe. Okay, let me zoom in on a piece and demonstrate what I mean. So here you've got, now again, this will print just fine, but you're like, well, it looks a little rough, so I want to smooth it out. Well, here's the wireframe, okay? When we turn that on, that's the wireframe that you're looking at, and it's a little irregular. But if you turn on this, if you hit it with the smooth tool, it levels that wireframe out. See that, how it straightened it out? So there it is before, and there it is after. It looks hollow. You know, it probably is, but fortunately it'll print just fine. We'll let the infill take care of it. I'm going to switch back into paint mode here real quick because I just want to look for, as we saw before, as in this case, we've got some irregularities on our surfaces. So I'm going to add a layer up here, and we'll grab our paintbrush, and I'm going to sample the color here, and then we'll just paint over where it needs to be painted to clean it up nice. All right, let's sample this orange like we've done twice before now. Whoop. And we're going to zoom in. And we're going to paint this up here. Now, even if you do inadvertently leave some white, you know, some white or what I call transitionary colors on your object, when you import this object into Bamboo Studio, you can pick colors to eliminate. So if white pops up and you're like, hey, wait a minute, I didn't have any white on my object. That's all right. You just assign it to a different color or delete it entirely. Okay, I'm not sure why my iPad just went kind of... Oh, I think I moved the light by accident. Nope. Nope, we just got into a place where that light... must be some transitional place where the light is... dims, I don't know. That's all right. We moved the light. We fixed the problem. We still have... Yep, we still have the orange selected. Arkansas water, we'll actually be starting kind of from the beginning, not entirely, but we're going to be adding a critter to our Cornucopia, another version of this, I should say. This one here, actually, as of this, just a couple of moments here, is going to be finished. All right, so I like the way that looks there. And as you can see, as I said before, even though all of our objects were painted separately, when we merge them together, the surfaces that had the colors that they had retain their color, which again really simplifies your coloring process. All right, so this articulated cornucopia with fruit and vegetables of the season is done. And we're going to save it as done. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. And we're going to rename it as long as we're here. And this will be Cornucopia Final. And now we're going to open up our Cornucopia with Critter, and we're just going to start deleting stuff because I want a critter. So now again, I saved this before at the stage where we had done all of the articulation. All right, so we don't have to go back and do all of that again. Okay, and I just realized something. Actually, no, that should be fine. Let's go ahead and start deleting stuff. So I'm going to grab this pumpkin and the stem. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to keep the pumpkin and the stem because we're going to save that and potentially put it in our critters, or our character, I keep calling it a critter, our character's hands. All right, I've got a select tool down here. I'm going to use that and just go whoop, like this. And that deletes pretty much everything that I drew the circle around. And we'll get rid of that piece there. There we go. So now we're just left with our Cornucopia. All right. Now we're going to save this. This is Cornucopia with Critter. And now we're going to make a critter. The question is, what critter do we want to make? I think a puppy. I think I want to put a puppy holding a pumpkin. Fortunately, we can do whatever we want, but today we're going to create a puppy. I'm going to switch back into turntable mode. Now I see here I didn't pull my, which again, not a big deal in the scheme of things, but our link from this piece here, this link for this piece, actually cut through our Cornucopia and presented itself here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to grab our clay tool. We're going to set it to sub, push that geometry in, turn symmetry off, and we're just going to push it in slightly. And then we'll smooth it and just keep working that process. Now, if I was really, really worried about it, I would go in and recreate the basket weave texture around it, but I'm not worried about it. I think it looks just fine the way that it is. So let's move on to our character. So we've got our horn split, we've got our pumpkin, and our lights. I'm going to grab these three pieces here, and we're going to group them, and we will rename the group to Cornucopia. That way it becomes easy to select as a group and as individual pieces. Make sense? All right, and the pumpkin is already its own item, so I'm not going to worry about that. We're going to hide that for now. Actually, I'm going to hide it, and I'm going to move it out of our way. Way out of our way, because I don't want it getting in the way. And we'll come back to it when we need it. Oh, you're in a meeting. Yeah, don't get in trouble. If you're at work, man, you should be paying attention to what you're doing. I'm not here to judge. You do what you do what you want, but glad it's helpful. Like I said, stop by anytime. We're here all week. Tip your waitress. I'm gonna turn on X-ray just so I can kind of see through things here. All right, so now this will be a slightly different character than what we usually do. Usually I create them on their back so they print flat on the print bed, but this guy is going to be sitting up, so his bottom will be flat, again for that marriage to the print bed, but no pun intended, he's going to be sitting on his butt, but we have more freedom and responsibility when it comes to creating this guy and how he's going to look. So we've got our clone for the body. I'm going to go ahead and validate that. We'll duplicate it, move this up. This becomes his head. I'm not going to worry about putting it in the cornucopia yet. We're just going to go ahead and just put the basic pieces together here. I like to use primitives to map out the composition of what it is we're going to create. Alright, this puppy's going to be kind of tubby because he's sitting in a cornucopia. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hide the cornucopia as well. So we're just working with the, oh, looks like it's part of my bed. Yeah, let's move him out here on his own. I'm not worried about the cornucopia right now. Okay, so let's see, we've got our body, we've got our head. And we're going to make him holding a pumpkin, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to create some arms here. We're going to mirror it, so we have two of them, obviously. These will be his forelegs. I'm going to go from the top and kind of put them in position. Just bend them around, fatten them up a little bit. And put them down at the angle that you would expect arms to be angling if they're reaching for something. Put another point there and move these arms in. I'm actually going to turn starting and ending radius on so I can fatten these up toward the body. Alright, we're getting there a little bit at a time. We'll work on the paws here in a second, but I think first I want to add a sphere for the rear haunches. We're going to mirror that. Move it off to the side so we have a couple of them. Now I'm going to grab my move tool and move the back of this body in just a little bit so he doesn't look like he's a puppy made out of made to look like a snowman. Alright, I'm going to pull the upper chest in a little bit. Again, I want his belly to be a little bit kind of a fatter belly because again he's a puppy. Puppies are tubby until they grow into their bodies. Alright. I'm going to go at the top here and angle this back like this a little bit. And I'm going to turn X-ray off for just a second. Looks like a puppy on wheels, doesn't it? Alright, now I'm going to need his hind legs here. And we're going to try a tube first. So let's put another tube here. Mirror it, obviously. Fatten it up. Pull it back into the haunch. And then just pull it out just a little bit there like that. We're going to mesh all of this together, so don't worry if it doesn't, if it doesn't look spot on just yet. It will when we're done. Trust the process. All right. Yeah, I think that's what we'll attach our paws to, our back paws. So we're going to grab a sphere, we're going to mirror it because we need two back paws. And then we're going to bring it out here. And I'm going to move it over here onto his end of his Wally puppy. Alright, let's shrink it down a little bit. I'm going to validate it so I can manipulate it a little further. Now we're going to go ahead and trim the end of it off, because what I want is I want just half of the sphere. Don't worry, we're not done yet. I'm going to narrow it a bit. I'm going to leave it oriented the way that it is until we're done sculpting it. I'm not going to tilt it into place or anything like that just yet. More just about positioning, again, basic composition. I think these arms need to be a little shorter because he will have paws, and the paws will be what's holding the pumpkin. Okay, let's go ahead and work with our paws down here for just a second. I'm going to mesh them up so they smooth out a little bit. I'm going to grab our brush tool, and a little bit at a time. I'm actually going to solo this foot here, so we're just looking at the foot. I'm going to put a bump here for a toe, another bump here, and another bump here. I'm going to turn on trackball so I can rotate this thing how I want. Don't worry about the bottom, because when we get done, we're going to trim that again to clean it up. I'm just getting the size of everything that I want now. I'm going to switch into smooth mode, and we're going to smooth out our geometry. And I'm going to remesh it a little higher just to smooth that out. Alright, let's show the rest of the puppy. Alright, I'm liking it so far. I'm being a little exaggerated with the features because this is going to be kind of an animated looking pup. Alright, I've got a little bit of wrong direction on this toe, so let's just kind of move it where we want it. Okay, I like that. Okay, so once again, I'm going to go into our right view, lock it down, and we're going to trim this one more time. Now, I didn't know if you know this or not, but if you hold the trim tool and use your other finger, move it, you can then rotate it as well. And that's what we're going to do. Just grab it so we can move it, and then we can orient it in the position that we want. I only showed you that just to show you as a for instance. I'm going to trim it flat because we're going to put toe beans on here, and I want to make sure that the toe beans are easy enough to line up with everything, and then we grab it as a group and rotate it into position. Work smarter, not harder. All right. So it's a little dirty on the bottom. That's all right. We'll just grab our remesh it, and you can see the edge clean itself up real nice there. Let's grab our smooth tool. Again, I'm going to solo just this foot here. And instead of using the smooth tool, we just use the smooth function. Okay, and then we'll clean it up with the smooth tool. We don't need this panel open. All right. So there is our puppy paw. Now the cool thing is, we can use those for the front paws as well. They're a little big, so I'm going to say we scale them down just a little bit. And again, once we get the toe beans in there, we'll rotate them into position. So I want to apply a little bit more smoothing along the edge here. Okay, let's go ahead and put our toe beans in, and that is a sphere. And again, we have one on each side, so we'll mirror it. We'll scale it down, bring it forward, and then we'll go ahead and put it where we want it. And we're going to flatten it a bit. And put it in the foot. And we'll elongate it a bit, scale it down a little more. And there's one of our toe beans. All right, well, we need more toe beans. So we're going to go ahead and clone this. Bring it over here, rotate it into position. Scale it down just a little bit. And then we'll do it again. Clone it. Over here. Sorry, my phone is ringing. I gotta double check it. Make sure it isn't somebody that's trying to reach me. Nope, nobody I know. Very good. All right. All right. We need to duplicate this toe bean here and bring it down. And then this becomes our, I don't know what you call those. One in the middle, but there you go. All right, we'll just flatten that out a little bit. So it's the same as the rest of them. And as you can see, like I said before, because we mirrored it, we put it on our other foot over there. One thing I am going to change here just a little bit is we're going to change the shape of this paw right here, just a little. There we go. Yeah, they're trying to reach me about my car, exactly. Little do they know I ride a horse. I'm kidding. That would be fun to know. They're trying to reach you about your warranty. I didn't know horses came with warranties. Thank you so much. I'm going to fatten this up a little bit here. Pull it in. All right, let me think for a second. Well, you know what, let's move on. We can think later. Right now, what I want to do is I'm going to take this paw, put it here, and then put it in a position where it would be more like it's holding on to something. So, let's go ahead and name our objects so we know what they are. So this will be paw. Why do we have so many mirrors? Wow. We don't need that many. We don't need mirrors of mirrors of mirrors. So these are our toe beans. I'm going to pull these out. We do want two paws, so I'll pull those out. These are the legs. These are the haunches, and those are the arms. All right. So we're going to call these forelegs. Again, this will be the rear haunches. This will be rear leg. And this is our rear paws. And this will be our toe beans. There we go. All right. So let's go back to where we were here. We've got our forelegs, we've got our rear haunches, rear legs, and paws. So the paws are what we're going to clone. And this will be our front paws. And then we're also going to clone our toe beans. And I think I should be able to, let's see. I think I can just put these into the front paws and the beans will go with, so we don't need a separate mirror for the beans. So let's put these up here with the rear paws. Although I wasn't, you know what we might be able to do? No, they're going to be their own independent object. Never mind. I was thinking of something else, but that's not going to work. All right, so we're going to drop these in here and get rid of the toe beans back there. Now when we grab those front paws, we should be able to get everything. Rear paws. I want the front paw. All right. Oop, we missed a bean. Why? Oh, because it wasn't selected. That's on me. I'm going to put this pivot point on this paw because that is the one that we're going to be manipulating into position. Oh, shoot. You know what? All right. So these repeaters, which is what these red things are in our object palette, they can get a little testy occasionally. So what we want to do, what I like to do, is I'm going to go ahead and grab all these items here. I'm going to, I guess I have to do them one at a time. Let's go ahead and validate them. And then I'm going to go ahead and validate the paws, but I'm going to keep instances. Right? Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with a paw that is its own entity, and then we'll duplicate it later. That's the right paw, yeah, okay. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to delete the other half. In a roundabout way, what I'm trying to get to here. And then when we get the other half in position, or the half that we're working with in position, then we'll just mirror it. Because this can be a bit of a pain sometimes. So we just grab this paw and all of these items here and just say bye-bye. And now we just have one front paw to work with. Not worrying about the mirror until we need a mirror of it. So I'm going to turn it, I'm going to angle it down, and we're going to put it into position. All right, there we go. And I think we'll, like I said, we're going to have him hanging on to this pumpkin. So, we should probably bring the pumpkin into position here just to check its position. So let's go ahead and turn it on so we can see it. And I want just the pumpkin itself. And we're going to move it over here. And obviously we're going to need to scale it down just a smidge. and maybe rotate it. Looks like we cut the bottom off of our pumpkin. That's all right. We don't need the entire thing anyway. One thing I do want to look at as well is our Cornucopia. Let's see where that sits in relationship to everything else. So let's grab, all right, let's name our objects. I think we need to name our objects because I'm having a hard time keeping track of what is what. All right, so everything is in the body. And then we've got our pumpkin. And now we're going to move it all up here because that's where he's going to live. Probably right about there. So that means our pumpkin could rotate as much as that and probably sit right about there until we trim the bottom off. Okay, so now we see where his hands, or his forepaws and bottom feet need to go. So the feet, I'm going to do the same thing for our back legs, paws here too. I'm going to go ahead and validate. Actually, you know what? Okay, that's just hiding it. So there's the paw. All right, let's just do it like we did before. Let's keep the instances, and then we're just going to keep paw on this side. So I'll go paw, and then there is the bean. Make sure we're getting the right one. All right, there's that one. And then there's that one. That's 4 beans and a paw. Everything else can go away. So we got our front paw and our rear paw, or back paw. All right. So now what I need to do, I'm going to turn on X-ray so we can kind of see through everything here. I'm thinking of angling his bottom. No, you know what? I'm going to angle his bottom feet out. His bottom feet, his back legs. All right, this tube here, it needs to follow the foot. So we'll go ahead and put that out there. This will be rear paw. Okay, once again, pull this out here. And then I think we're going to put a little bit of a tilt to it like that. And let's turn X-ray off. All right, that's cute. I like that. We'll need some supports under here, but in the scheme of things, I think that's quite all right. I'll pull it back just a little bit. You just need a hint of this back leg here. In fact, I'm gonna pull that back a little bit. Let's go X-ray. There we go. Pull it up. There we go. All right. Now let's turn off X-ray. So we've got our rear leg, we've got the haunch, we've got our paw, and we've got our forward paw, or front paws. So our front paw needs to go and this arm needs to come down. Just checking position of everything. Front paw, I'm going to rotate that a little bit. And I'm going to merge it right into that pumpkin. And same thing with this. Go to the top, and bring that over. What I'd like to see if I can do is maybe get that leg to attach itself to the body somewhat, so it's not so much floating out in space. Yeah, I like that. And then we'll do the same thing with the paw. We'll bring that over. So it's on the pumpkin. It's touching the pumpkin, so that won't need support there. We're going to need a little support here, but again, it's not terrible. And in fact, I might even be able to bring that leg in even further. And then merge it to the body. And we might get by without needing support at all, if it's touching the body all the way through. Like that. And then angle that a little bit. All right. Now let's look at this from a compositional standpoint. We haven't done the face details or the ears or anything like that, but there's our puppy. Yeah, I like that. I think that'll work. All right, so let's go ahead and do what we said we were going to do. Let's start with a save. All right. And let's give that a little spin so it isn't quite so symmetrical. All right, save again. Now we need to take, actually let's pin that open. I'm going to need to duplicate our front paws with a mirror. So we're going to add a mirror repeater to it. Now we have two front paws, as you can see. And then I'll do the same thing with the rear paw. In fact, if we want, we can just throw that rear paw into the mirror and it'll do, I'll turn on X-ray so you can see it. Do the same thing. Now we got a paw on each side. So, all right. All right, let me think if we need to do anything else before we move on to the head. We're not going to merge everything just yet. I'm going to keep everything separate in case proportions are out of whack. I will save where we're at. All right, so the initial thought was to make this into a beagle. If you know anything about beagles, they have a tendency to have long noses. So let's go ahead and give this guy a longish nose, schnoz. Going to validate it so we can do a little sculpting on it. I think what I want to do is I want to pull, whoop, let's make that a little bigger. Pull this out here. We will tilt that head forward once we get it done. I'm going to add have the easy parts. We'll do another sphere for his nose. Oh, look, it's Snoopy. I'm kidding. It's not Snoopy. Alright, grab our move tool. Flatten that down just a smidge. Okay. Oh, looks like we mirrored the snout, didn't we? Alright. We'll make that its own object, and then of course that's the nose. So snout, we'll put up here on the head. Same with the nose. There we go. Flatten out his top of his snout a little bit. I'm going to grab the snout and the nose. I'm going to move my pivot point back here a little bit. And then I'm going to tilt it all down. Alright, let's keep putting in our primitives here so we can get our composition set up. And we'll mirror that for 2 ears. Flatten them out. Alright, we'll pull these tops up. Got a couple of beagles laying next to me. I'm looking over for a little bit of inspiration here. I'm going to go ahead and grab my inflate tool, put a little bit of geometry here to pull the ear into the head. Like so. And then we'll smooth it out. Went a little too far there. Now remember, we can't have the ears hang off the head too far, because then that'll create gaps which will require supports from our printer when we print it. So we definitely don't want that. In fact, we're going to have probably some supports down here that it's going to ask to put in there for us. bring this snout up just a little bit. I'm going to try putting a lower lip in here. Alright, I'm going to move that up here. I know, it's kind of big. That's okay, we'll fix it. Validate it so we can do a little sculpting with it. I want a happy beagle. I mean, who doesn't want a happy beagle, right? Beagles are typically happy all the time. Hey! Googly moogly. I know it's good googly moogly, but I like saying googly moogly. Thanks for joining us. We're putting a beagle, just in case you're wondering. We're putting a beagle in front of a cornucopia, actually in the cornucopia. Articulated cornucopia. In case there's any question as to what we're doing. And he's holding a pumpkin. Working and working. As long as you're not twerking, we're okay. Actually, you can twerk too if you want, I guess. A tubby beagle, which would be kind of like my beagles, a little on the tubby side. All right, so I think, again, we got to give them a little bit of a forehead, place for the eyes to actually live. And then I think our snout, nose, and mouth should probably come down a little bit. Whoop, I didn't want to tilt it. Bring it down and tilt it that way just a little bit. Oh, you're kidding. Gosh, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, truly am. Yeah, I've had several conversations with my wife about ours. Fortunately, they're not very old, but one day we will have to face that ugly reality. And I'm very sorry to hear that you have that. That truly sucks. I can't even imagine. I'm probably going to be inconsolable. These guys have been here for me for quite a while, actually. What was the beagle's name? Let's honor his memory, her memory. Daisy. Oh man. Well, this is an honor. We will be working on this beagle today in remembrance of Daisy. Of course. It's the least we can do. All right, let's give them some eyes. And we need two of them, so we will mirror them. And put them up here on his face. Scale them down, of course. Put them on her face. Let's get it right. We're working on Daisy the Beagle. Daisy the Harvest Beagle. Flatten these eyes out a little bit, bring them out a little bit. we're going to be modifying our geometry around the eyes, but I just want to get them in a good position to start with. So that's what we're doing right now. We will sculpt around the eyes, so it doesn't look like a couple of spheres pasted onto another sphere. I'm just checking the alignment right now, so I'll go ahead and set that to be my focus. There we go. And then check composition. See if I like where they're laying. All right. Let's go ahead and clone these. So that's the black of our eye, anyone that knows my illustration style, and this will be the white of the eye. As always, we'll move them in and down. So it looks like it's looking at you, not like it's cockeyed. And we're going to make this part rounder. There we go. Now, at this point, I'm going to step out and we're going to just look at this in paint mode. Because sometimes you can see things differently in one mode than you can in others, so I like to switch back and forth. In fact, I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and paint these black and paint these white. And make sure it's all situated the way that we want. I do like that, so I think we're good. Just check it from all angles. All right, let's go ahead and save where we're at. And then we can start merging things together and doing the final sculpt on our head. Sculpt with a T on our head. All right, let's come up here to the nose first. Grab my inflate tool, set it to sub, bring the brush size down, turn the intensity down, and we're just going to give this little guy some nostrils. Just so we see where they're at. We may have to come and clean those up a little bit later after we get everything. Well, I take it back. You know what? My bad. I don't attach the nose. The nose stays its own item. Smooth it out and just hit that with a little more of a push there, and then smooth it out one more time. Okay. All right. One beagle nose. Now we're going to grab the head, the snout, and the lower mouth. We're going to leave the ears as their own object. And we're going to go ahead and mesh these guys together. We'll set it to about 300. We'll do our corporate smooth operation. You can see where everything's starting to come together nicely here. And then same thing with the bottom lip. We'll go ahead and make sure symmetry is turned on. And just do, whoop, I'm going to solo this part so the other parts don't get in the way. And we'll just do some smoothing here. I almost feel like I wish I'd made that mouth a little bigger, because I want to make his tongue kind of hanging out a little bit. or at least the suggestion of a tongue. Maybe we don't need to do a tongue. Maybe what we'll do is we'll just do an indentation that's representative of his tongue. Yeah, I think we'll do that. We'll just push some geometry in. So let's grab our mask. I'm going to mask everything and then use my unmask to reveal the area that I'm going to manipulate with the sculpting tools. And again, this is going to be his mouth. All right, let's grab our gizmo tool, make it real easy on ourselves, and we will just push it in and up a little bit. Now we've got an indent for his mouth. All right, let's step out here and grab our mask tool. We're going to clear all, and then we're going to up this resolution just a little bit more to help clean up that edge. And then we'll grab our smooth tool and do the same. Smooth it out here. All right, we got a little dimple over here. Go back into, as we learned earlier with our dino topology. Let's clean that up a little bit. And then we'll remesh it again. And then make sure Dino's turned off. And smooth it out one more time. And we're not done yet. We're not done yet. We're going to put a smile on his face. Grab our crease tool. I'm going to drop a layer on here just in case it doesn't go the way I plan. Actually, I think I'll smooth this out first. Let's give this a good smoothing here, because we're going to pull a little additional geometry over here to accentuate that smile. And then with our crease tool, we're just going to lay in a little track here, give him a little smile. Actually, we're going to do that again. I'm going to increase the radius just a little bit. Nope, not enough. A little more. A little bit of a smirk. Whoop. A little bit of a smirk. We'll turn the corner of his mouth down just a smidge. All right, that works for me. I'm going to switch back to my inflate tool. Increase the radius, drop the intensity. We're going to set it to turn sub off so it pulls the geometry out rather than pushes it. And we're just going to give him a little dimple over top of that part of his smile there. And then we'll just clean that crease up a little bit more. Actually, I need to increase my intensity of my smooth. I don't want it to be overdone. All right, now continuing upward here, I want to pull out some eyebrows for our guy. So I'm going to grab that inflate tool again, drop its size just a little bit. And then we'll smooth it out. And this is where our geometry now starts to overlap the eyes that we created earlier. And again, gives the illusion that it's all one organic sculpt and not just a bunch of primitives stacked up together. that nose could have been a little bigger. Good news with the inflate tool, it can be. Let's just increase the size here. See what we get. Let's pull this out a little bit here. And then smooth it. All right, what do we think? What are we thinking, folks? Open to feedback on this. If you want to see something else or something additional, now's the time. I think that nose needs to go up a little bit. Whoop, my light is flashing in the background. I think that means the batteries are running low, so let's go ahead and turn it off. Sorry about that. I'll bring that nose up a little higher. Yeah, I'm not sure. I may version this out and do it again, but it's definitely a good concept. My beagles keep moving around, so I can't really see their ears to make sure I got those right. I think I do. I think his head may be a little too fat down here. I'm trying to bridge that gap between juvenile and, you know, an animal that looks, you know, close, very close to that. I think that was the problem. His head was too fat. Close to a beagle, but yet still retains that juvenile look. Sorry. Keep getting phone calls. Let's move the pivot point for our ear up here. Won't know for sure until we get things painted. I wonder if I need to make his head bigger overall. What is this? These are the eyes. So this goes in the... That's the head. And nose. And ears. Not sure why Solo's on, my bad. All right, so we've got our eyes and our nose. All right, there we go. So now we select the whole head. We can move it, we can scale it. All right, so we've got our eyes. That's too small. That's way too big. I think right about there is good. All right, what do you guys think? Do we like what we got here? Shall we move on? I feel like the paws should be a little bigger too, so let's scale those up. And then the front paws, we'll scale those up as well. I think that looks very puppyish. What do you guys think? Before we do a lot of merging, let's go ahead and do some painting. Actually, I think this guy needs slightly fatter arms here too. Yep, I like that. These legs back here could stand to be a little thicker. Grab those rear paws. All right. I think that should help with the I'm thinking maybe he's a little too fat. I mean, puppy fat is one thing, but he looks, in my opinion, like he's just a little too, especially up here on the upper body. All right, I like that. There we go. And one more thing, we're going to slip back into X-ray. I want to pull these arms in a little further here. Yeah, that works. I like that. All right, let's go ahead and merge some geometry. Let's go ahead and save. And then let's start putting 2 and 2 together. So we're going to validate the arms. And let's join together our front paws, although we're going to keep the spheres for the toe beans separate. Makes them easier to paint, and they print better. You know what I'm kind of thinking too? Let me think for just a second, because I'm thinking maybe what we might do is we might put in a little bit of a bend. No, I think it's going to look just fine this way. Sorry, I'm talking out loud to myself, I know. All right, let's go ahead and put it together. So we need the, let's see, the arms. So we need the arms, the head, the body, the left and right paws, the haunches. Actually, those haunches need to be validated. The forelegs need to be validated, rear legs. And then the rear paws and the front paws, we're going to lose. Let's see, we've got a mirror on those, so we need to validate this here and keep the instances. So we've got the rear paw, the rear paw, the front paw, and the front paw. And then the haunches, the forelegs, the body, the head, and I think the rear legs. This can be a little tedious at times, but the end result is worth it. All right, so there's the head. So we got the head, the body, the forelegs, the rear haunches, the rear legs, the rear paws, and the front paws. That should be everything. A good way to tell is when you go to do this to it, you'll see everything that you want to merge together as that checkerboard pattern. So you know you're in the right ballpark. All right, we'll grab our smooth tool, smooth things a little bit, and then I'm going to solo it so we can go in and do a little bit of cleanup. Case in point, you see back here, actually, you know what, we're going to undo this because those back legs are, actually we're going to go way back and undo so we can scale those legs down where they need to be. There we go. All right, so that's the one that we want to turn on X-ray here. I'm going to tune down the ending radius a little bit. Bring it up and just decrease its size a little bit like that. And now I'm going to show the rear haunches and the rear legs, and we'll solo it so we can see just that. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, very good. All right, back to the drawing board. We are now going to grab the body. I'm sorry, actually we need to validate these pieces again. Oh, nope, nope. We're going to join the children. And then we need to take this mirror here and validate everything into its own, their own pieces and keep the instances. All right, so we want the body, the head, the forelegs, the rear haunches, the rear legs, the rear paws, and the front paws. And that should be everything. Let's go ahead and do our remesh. All right, and then we'll do our smooth operation. And then, as I said before, we'll step into smoothing. Get rid of some of these panels so we can see. And, oh gosh, we've got a big divot there too. Fortunately, that'll clean up nicely. It'll be on top of the pumpkin, so you're actually not going to see that. We've got to re-put our crease here in for the mouth, and that's fine. Symmetry's turned on, so everything we're doing on one side is happening on the other side. Okay, got this nicely joined to the body, so we shouldn't have any overhangs when it comes to printing, or at least nothing too terribly bad. And there we go. We get rid of that little divot from the leg. And we'll turn solo off. And now you can see our puppy's body, and everything else is nicely attached and sculpted together into one organic piece. The arms, the legs, the paws. The buttocks. There are no buttocks, but that's where they would be. All right. I think that's probably good. Let's go ahead and reintroduce our crease for the mouth here. Okay. All right, so this is what's next. We need to trim the bottom of our pumpkin here to lie flat on the printing bed, like the rest of our piece. I'm going to move that right up to where it goes against the cornucopia, so the pumpkin is trimmed at the same spot. Just tap the square, and just like that, it's trimmed nice and flat. We've got a little divot in here, but that's okay. I'm going to turn the grid off momentarily, and I'm going to grab our clay tool. We'll set it to extrude rather than push, and we'll just turn symmetry off. We'll just fill that hole in here, and then we'll smooth it out. All right, looks like we may have some edge anomalies here. Yeah, we do. Let's go ahead and remesh that a little bit higher. See if that straightens things out for us. There we go. Now, we're probably going to have to trim this again. So let's slip over here into side mode. Go back to our trim tool, and because we didn't move the rectangle, it's still there. And we can just tap and trim that piece again. That should be nice and clean now. We'll just give it a remesh real quick to tighten up and clean up our edges. All right, so we've got our puppy, we've got our pumpkin, and we've got our cornucopia. Let's go ahead and do some painting. Now, because the cornucopia was already painted, we're good there. We just need to put some color on our pup. I'm going to move the lights around so we can see a little better. And that light is extremely bright. Let's see why. Because it's extremely bright and close. Let's move it back a bit. All right, let's give him, we can go ahead and merge this in now. Let's go ahead and give him a, let's start with white as our base color. I'm going to give the ears a base color of white as well. There we go. I'll go back here real quick. This mouth is a little odd. I'll turn dynamic topology on. I'm just gonna clean this up a little bit. Oop. Solo it. I just want to clean up that mouth area a little bit. And then when we get done, we're going to go ahead and remesh it again to smooth it. Turn dynamic off. And then we'll just smooth it like we normally would. A lot better. save where we're at. Okay. Slip back into paint mode. Grab our paintbrush. Alright, so we've got our white color. Let's add tan. And this kind of comes down to, again, as I always say, artist discretion. So you put tan markings where you want. I'm going to pull up a Beagle reference on the side here because I don't have standard Beagles. I've got a blue tick and a black and tan, and I want kind of a typical Beagle, typical looking Beagle color scheme, if you will. All right. So I'm going to grab a little brown color here. A little tan, I should say. There we go. And I think we're going to do a little tan here. Actually, you know what I could do? We could turn the environment exposure up a little bit. That'll help. That's too much. That's still too much. All right, there we go. We can tune this later. Right now I just want to get color on there. I want to change this topography here a little bit to show those eyes a little more. Let's step out here real quick. I'm going to grab the inflate tool and add a layer. Bring it down below the color. And we're going to push this geometry in a little bit around the eye. There we go. Nothing major, just, you know, a little bit of subtle work there on around his eyes. All right, so again, just working from my reference photos here. I'm kind of drawing where I want the color to go. Let's see, the legs are predominantly white. Now, because I'm working in layers, I can just take some of that tan off, like so. Like I said, we'll clean the edges up here in a little bit. And then go right back into applying the torque. Now this part back here we're not going to see. So probably just not have to worry so much about the color back there, but okay. Put a little color on the ears here. Once again, let me go back to my Beagle reference. Oh, needs a little bit of resolution there. That way we don't get real rough edges. Let's solo this actually. And I didn't realize it's getting late here, so I've got about 10 or 15 more minutes, and then I gotta go run some errands. So let's see how fast we can get to where we need to go here. I'll turn on my stabilizer so I can make some nice clean lines here. Try that again. All right, he needs a black nose. I think that's a given. And let me see. How many colors we got on this print? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I add a pink mouth, that's going to make it 7. The good news is you can always eliminate the pink mouth. Okay, actually, the toe beans need to be pink as well. So we're going to do those real quick. And where is my toe beans? Up here. those are the wrong ones. Those would be the front paws. There we go. Now we should be able to paint them all at once. Question is, though, do we want to paint those pink? Because that's going to create some... I mean, it's not necessary. Like I said before, you can always change the colors if you want. I like to leave them the way they are, because it leaves that option open for anybody that wants to paint them or print them in pink. Alright, move that pumpkin off to the side because it's not exactly symmetrical. And there we go. So if I go back here to our exposure, we set that to 0. And let's tell you what, let's turn on our lights so we can see them. I'm just straightening out the pivot points so we can move things a little more easily in any orientation. So this is our fill light. That is our rim light. Bring that up, crank up the intensity. This here is our key light. That's our main light. This is our underneath show the details light, and it is way too high, so let's move that down. I just realized I didn't put any black trim on this Beagle. That generally goes across the back. Let's give him a little bit black on his back. Okay. Grab that paintbrush. Grab a color other than pink. Turn that stabilizer off because we don't need it. Again, you'll probably only see traces of it. Because it will be buried in our Cornucopia. But we'll know it's there, won't we? Alright, so there's that. And sometimes Beagles have this little black mark on their head. I don't know if I want to put it there or not, but let's just see what it looks like. Nah, I don't like it. I think it looks just fine that way. Got a little black on his back there, you can kind of see it. Maybe a little black on his ears. Again, don't know if we'll like it. Not sure why that resolution is so low. Why is that so rough looking? Do I have dyno turned on? I do. Ah. I'm not sure what I hit to turn it on. It wasn't on, but it turned on and now it's off. Great, that's what we want. Again, I don't know, I'm really sold on the black stripe on the ear. Feels like it kind of needs something though. No, makes his ear look like it's dirty. All right, well, we're just gonna leave it that way for now. He says as he tries something else. Yeah, I think we'll just leave it. Keep it simple. All right, folks. Well, that is our Critter in a Cornucopia sculpt for today. And tomorrow, we'll probably be working on a scarecrow. And that will bring a whole fresh set of challenges and fun stuff to the table. So I encourage you to be here for that. I don't know yet what time it'll be. I'm hoping maybe a little earlier than it was today, because I got a bit of a late start today. And that was mostly just, again, because I was trying to sort out and set up my streaming. I'm trying to stream to multiple platforms here, so it makes things a little more difficult, a little harder to manage, a lot of moving parts. But we'll eventually get it. In the meantime, everybody have a good rest of your day. And actually, let me try something here real quick. Everybody have a good rest of your day, and thanks for showing up. And my camera looks terrible. That's all right, we'll fix it all. All right, thanks for showing up. Wicked, I will see you when I see you next. Again, hopefully tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. I should be able to get down here earlier tomorrow. So hopefully that's the case. And if not, I'll be down here later, but I'll send you an invite when I'm on. All right, everybody take care. Have a good day.